Surprise! Hi, everyone. So, yes, I couldn't wait till Sunday. But there was it was like, I gotta go on a live. I want to share, And so, what I want to share is this incredible excitement. It's not like excitement like I'm bursting with joy and all that stuff. It's more of the excitement of being free, to have released an identity I was trapped in and I came up with and I lived through and I was identified with as me, and in fear of leaving it, that I would lose me, and I would lose my worth, and I would lose so many things. And this happened the day I declared live that I am leaving the world of darkness, deep, deep anguish, darkness, narcissism and abuse and all that stuff. I'm moving away from that. And once I was complete, I felt this lift off of my chest, lift off of my shoulders. It was as if I was closing I was like closing the door of a world behind, and not wanting to take even a little trinklet of it with me, and stepping into something new. And I realized that for a few years, I thought it was just a year, but for a few years, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I would have to release so much energy off of me after sessions or with friends or with family members and whatever I was going through, and it just felt so gunky because I wanted to be somewhere else. I wanted to experience a different kind of life, right? And not the life of what if I attract another narcissist? Is this friend a narcissist? Is this the narcissist? Like all that kind of life anymore, or like being the one that people turn to for this topic. And that was my fear. See, I then recognized, I'm like, why did it take me so long to simply just move into a new direction? And I recognized, and I'm hoping that the reason I'm doing all this is I'm hoping this is helpful for you to let go of any identity you've trapped yourselves in, thinking that this is the only way that you are known for, like, or recognized, or you're valued, or this is this is the only thing that you have for your career. So my thing, and I'm always going to share with you as often as I can, the truth that shows up, like my honest, authentic truth. And I recognized that I was so scared to leave it, although it didn't feel good anymore, and it brought me into a dimmer space within me. I was scared to leave that being so good at it, being the professional, being the one who is like specialized in abuse. If I leave that behind, then who am I? Who am I if that is not what I'm going to do, right? And the shocking thing was, I was like, who am I if this was how my life looked like since I was a child? This is what I did. I dealt with dark entities. I dealt with dark people. I wanted to bring joy to my family and to my friends and to others. And I always felt the darkness, and I could see lurking shadows, and I could hear things and footsteps in homes. And it was insane what I had experienced since I was a child. So, and coming from a lineage on my mom's side where my grandma was extremely intuitive, and she would transport herself to different places, and she was a great healer. I mean, she got people who were paralyzed on wheelchairs to walk, and she was able to heal. I even saw it with my own eyes when I went to a dentist, and she was with me, and his hand was he was going to quit dentistry because his hand started to shake and he couldn't hold the thing, and she just sat up and she held his hand and she did her magic, And and he was like, he's all scientific. He's like, what the hell? And the next day he got a call. She got a call from him. He was shocked, and he wrote her a letter of gratitude, like, no one could figure this out. I don't know what you did. So I come from that kind of family. That's why all this happens to me. But coming from that family, I thought we had to fight the darkness, right? Always bring light to the darkness, fight off the darkness. And so that continued in my adult life, as in getting married to narcissists, having narcissists in my environment, dealing with that and having to like stand up and glow my light and fight against. And I was like, that is a whole entire world different. And all that programming inside of me is from my lineage, right? That deep need inside to constantly fight against the darkness, stand up for it, whatever it is, all the dynamics that we know, where observation of parents, right? Observation of adults, taking that in, whatever was in my body and part of the lineage that was downloaded, right? Because it wasn't acceptable for women to be that psychic and healing and all that. It was something that you never get paid for. It was something that you're never supposed to heal yourself with, only for others. Like, you'll go through hell, but you can never feel better. So there's all these beliefs inside, right? And so my belief is I'm going to fight. So what would happen is I would constantly attract narcissists because the identity I was in, right, was that. I was identified with that, And for the past few years, I hadn't seen shadows and corners. I haven't been afraid. I haven't heard weird voices and entities and all that, because I decided I'm done with that world. That was a few years ago. But I hadn't completely decided with narcissism because it was my career. It was what I was good at. So a lot of times you may notice that you are really good at something, like really good. You know it at the back of your hand. But it doesn't bring you joy anymore. It feels heavy. It doesn't feel like yours anymore. Like it's boring. It's like in a constant loop, but you don't want to leave it, right? Because it's your identity. That was my identity, right? I was like, well, if I don't do that, how can I help anyone else? And I'm like, that is just ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Right? So it took me that long to be able to come to the awareness that I had given myself an identity that is part of also my lineage, okay, that I trapped myself in. Isn't that interesting? Like, how many of you are doing this till this moment in many different other paradigms of your life, in the categories of your life? How many of us are living today with a program we have made up for ourselves according to our family history, thinking this is our purpose, this is our mission, because we know it so well? And then I remembered something very interesting. I remembered the coolest thing. I remembered that prior to that, I was an interior designer. And I worked in many different countries, many different companies. I even opened my own, and I was amazing at it, and I loved it, and I was dressed up as an interior designer, which now I do as a hobby. I just do it for myself or whatever, or for a friend, or I just enjoy doing it. But in general, so I was like, well, how did I go from that to this? Then if I've moved from that to this, then I could be something else. Then it's possible, right? Then it's possible, because I want to just be of service. I want to be of service. And so I wanted to use the skill sets I have to be of service, whether it was interior design and I used Feng Shui and Vastu energy and all this. I was always into healing and energy, and Reiki master for 30 years now. So for 28 years. So it's like, there's always this healing aspect within me, which I can still live with. I can still use as an identity, but I know it's an identity I gave myself. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is because after that day that I announced to everyone here the empath and the narcissist, and how I see it and how I can't be part of that world anymore, and that world is not mine, and I can release and allow it to go. I felt relieved. I could see my fears of attachment. I understood what kept me there. I was afraid not to belong. I was afraid that I will be useless to others, that this is not the right thing. And then I recognized that's not even mine. That's from my lineage. That's part of the DNA. That's what got triggered and awakened in me to heal and work through. And then the most amazing thing happened. The next day, a friend shared with me this book, a very dear friend. And I was like, oh my God, it's all about DNA, right? And our lineage in the bodies and the traumas that are stored from birth, in the womb, receiving all the stuff that I anyway knew and I saw. Remember I told you I saw these codes in the bodies and we're here to change these codes. And it's like the information keeps coming. But all of a sudden I was like, oh my God. I thought most of my life that I'm working with the shadow. Even in my book, you'll notice I couldn't call it the shadow. I changed it to disempowered self version, your disempowered version of yourself, because shadow just never resonated deeply. It was too, like, shadow I have to get rid of. You know, I have to get rid of shadow. Only the light exists. I was like, no, it's a disempowered version of you. It's a disempowered self. It's not the shadow. Anyway, falling off track because I'm so excited to share this. It's like, it hasn't been the shadow. It hasn't been it has been the disempowered self. Whatever came out in that book is truth. My book, Discover the Gifts of Your Disempowered Self. Truth was in that book. But I could see it now. It's exciting to relook at the book because I'm like, oh my God. But it's like, wow, it is a disempowered version of me, but it's not even a disempowered version of me. It's a disempowered version of a trauma that was stored in my body. And that's what that book was. Forgot the name. I just ordered it from Amazon to read it, and I was watching all the YouTubes for the author. I'll leave the information at the link. And I've been sharing with my friend back and forth. It's been amazing because I'm like, oh my God, all these fears in my body, these traumas in my body that show up, and I don't even know where they originate from, right? And I assume I link it to my childhood, are never mine. And that's what we're doing here. We're just releasing and allowing these traumas that were not shared with us, were hidden, we're shamed out of, that the whole lineage lived through, that has been downloaded into the DNAs throughout from generation to generation to help the next generation, not to help them have a better skill set if that fear shows up and we're just attached to the fear. So I was like, oh my God, that's what I've been working with this whole time, because when I dive really deep with people, I go really in. It's as if, this is what I always visualize. I ask questions, and then it's as if I go in and I bring out for them to see the core of the thing. So I've done it my whole life, right? And it's been, I didn't know, I have been helping people shift and change the codes in the body, the DNA. That's why I got that visual a few months ago, and I shared it, that I saw the grid of the earth and the codes within the earth, and that we have the codes, and then our purpose, one of our main purposes, is to shift the codes in the body and release it back to Mama Earth's for the next generation. It's also mind-blowing. There's so much information. Like when I get information, it's in layers and it's everywhere, and it's not in a straight line. It's not this. It's just everything everywhere all the time, kind of images and thoughts of words. So I just wanted you to have the freedom to recognize that a lot of the things that you believe yourself to be and won't let go of them, even if they feel heavy, even if your body won't take them, even if you start to notice that you always feel denser when you're doing them or with these people or doing the thing, recognize that maybe you're done with that identity, that identity you can't dress up in that identity anymore. Maybe that identity is not even yours. Maybe it's a lineage thing. Maybe that identity just needs to be seen and released finally. And just notice your fears about it. What does it mean if you let it go? You know, is your worth gone? Is your value gone? Will you not belong? Biggest fear, we don't belong. My biggest fear is being wrong. Being wrong. What if I'm wrong? What if there's nothing else that I'm specialized in? What if I'm wrong? And it was just stupidity, because I don't only do that, right? I do so many other things. That's not the only thing I do. I don't only help abused women. I help evolve the soul. I help awaken in the awakening journey and help with the DNA coding, right? So I'm like, holy, I wouldn't have been able to see so clearly what it is that I actually provide and what I'm of service for here, until I was able to let go of that identity. Until I was able to clearly voice my truth and say empaths, disempowered empaths, and narcissists are done. Even for me, I want to drop the identity of I'm an empath. It worked for me. If it still works for you, keep it. It worked for me for this long to know more about who I am. But I even believe that is a limitation on me. That is also an identity I'm dressed up in, because it's not working anymore. It feels more right to say I'm just a human being. I'm a human and a being, right? But without a label anymore, in some kind of sense. And I'm kind of like freeing myself from whatever identities are showing up. I'm not digging up for them. It's just the eruption of, I feel, oh, I don't want to call myself an empath anymore. It's just, it's hooked onto so many connotations and so many belief systems and so much of the work I've done that I'm like, even that I want to let go of. And all empaths out there are beautiful souls. I love them. And this is not putting anyone down or saying anything. I'm just saying, for me, I'm ready to also release the label of what I'm trying to figure out myself to be. It was an empath, a light worker, this. I'm like, no more that anymore. I'm just a soul having this human experience. And my experience is to just be kinder to this body, more compassion to who I am, and to all the emotions that my lineage and my ancestors went through, that I can actually release and free this body so that my children don't have to re-repeat the patterns, whether it's the same pattern or the opposite pattern. But to be free to just be free of identity, right? And to have a new role in life and to have a new experience. So in saying this, I also want to encourage you. One of my soul family friends, like a soul sister, is holding a three-day ancestral healing. It's beautiful. It's magical. It's lovely. I love her. She's wonderful. She's amazing. And I posted it on my Facebook, and I really encourage you. It's so inexpensive. It's ridiculous. It's like, for what you're going to receive, it's nothing. Just click, look at her website, look at her Instagram, go for it. Just say yes. I'm joining, because I love Jen Lindy. I love her. I love what she does. And it correlates so much with what I do. Also, it's like, we are like, you have to experience her to know how she does it. It's nothing like you've ever experienced before. Nothing like you've ever experienced. So I encourage you to do that and just understand a little bit more about your lineage and your ancestors and your family, and that just know that a lot of your identities and your fears that exist within you, that you're fighting against and you're trying to release, or you're trying whatever, are not even yours to begin with. They're not even yours. Like, they're from somewhere else. And so you acquire the fear and you move through life through that fear, right? And you start to attract things like that just because you're reliving the experience of some ancestor somewhere in the lineage, some DNA that's in your body that is needing to be seen and heard and loved by you to be able to be freed. But you got to feel that. You got to be with it. You got to experience it. And I will share in my next live a deep one that I was like, when I watched some of the videos of the book that I'm hopefully going to receive from Amazon sometime today. I haven't even gotten into the book on already. I was like, this is it. This is what I love to do. right? Free people in a different way, in the way that brings me joy. Who knows how many years this is going to last, right? And it might be forever, it might not, and I don't even care anymore because I keep experiencing myself in different ways. And ever since I said no to all that, I'm breathing better. Like, I was gripped by anxiety for the past few weeks. Like, oh, I have to do nurses. This is when clients come. This, I'm like, once I let it go, I'm like, no more. That is done. I can breathe. How many things do you believe that if you just let go of them, would you be free to breathe? Would you feel lighter, like your shoulders are lighter, the heaviness on your heart, your beliefs of this is who you are, this is who you have to stick with. You can't live all the echoes of the thoughts that keep coming like a jail. What would happen if you let go? You would feel lighter. Yes, there's fear that you're wrong. We all have that, or maybe not all. A lot of people have a fear that they're wrong. This is like the biggest fear. What if I'm wrong? Right? Because we're not allowed to trust our intuition. We've been taught that no, it's got to be reality. You got to see it. If you don't see it, then it's not real. But, so, and how we have been wrong many times, but have we been wrong because we've listened to our intuition, or have we been wrong because we've listened to our thoughts that are only repetitions of the past and the experiences we've heard of others? Like, there's nothing new here. Nothing new here, right? I call them yucky thoughts. I'm trapped in the yucky. I'm trapped in the yucky. Which we all get trapped in. I was trapped in the yucky. So anyway, I love you all. I wanted this to be a short, but it isn't. And I will see you Sunday. So Wednesdays and Sundays and spontaneous in between. I'm not defining anything. I'm trying to bring myself, gather parts of me back. So that's why I'm making them Wednesdays and Sundays. But I'm still giving myself the freedom. I'm still giving myself the freedom, like somewhere between 9 and 11 a.m. Sundays, Sundays will have to be after 12 because that's when my kids go to their father, but that's good enough. So I'm like defining slowly, but I'm not locking myself into anything. I'm just giving myself freedom to be of service the way that comforts me for now. All right. Which hopefully will give you that freedom too. Right. Okay. Love you all so dearly. Take care of yourselves and let me know, what identity do you feel trapped in? Or do you believe is really, really, really you that gives you a bit of heaviness and tightness? Right? It could be, I'm shy, or whatever it is. Take care. Bye.